Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the first book of Shmuel, Shmuel Aleph. Chapter 16 is where we're up to, the second half of chapter 16. We just read verse 13, and we'll begin with 14 today. And we we just read about how Shmuel chose, God chose David from all of the sons of Ishai, and told Shmuel to anoint him. We don't have any evidence that Shmuel actually told David that he was anointing him as the future king, nor did he tell this to Ishai. The way the verses are presenting this, it's as if this is like a sneaky way to somehow begin the process of transition from the kingdom of Saul to the kingdom of David. Now, we ended by saying this interesting idea that Titzlach Ruach Hashem El David, that the Spirit of God was successful, was good upon David, it grabbed a hold of him. And we explained it, after he was recognized from among his brothers, it gave David a sense of accomplishment. It gave him a recognition, a sense of achievement, and to realize that he was destined for something great, and to realize that his efforts, until now, were noticed. His efforts to live a good, honest life. But now, the opposite, Shaul, who used to have the support of Shmuel, used to have the support of God. He knew he was anointed, chosen by God through his prophet Shmuel. But now Shmuel had abandoned him, Shmuel had left him, and Shmuel had told him that God had abandoned him. So that feeling of, I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right track, is now gone from Shaul. He's still the king, but he has this bad feeling. So this is what we're going to begin with. Adonai sora me'im Shaul. But the Spirit of God had left from Saul, from Shaul. Uvi atatu roach ra'a me'et Adonai. And this bad spirit from God would shake him, scared him. He was frightened. Without the support that he used to have, the support of God through his prophet, Shaul felt frightened, he felt scared, he felt uneasy, he felt insecure would probably be the best word. So the servants of Shaul said to him, Behold, it seems that there's a bad spirit of God that is making you afraid. We need to cheer you up somehow. You're still the king. You're a great leader. Everybody admires you. We need to cheer you up somehow. And how can we do that? Yomar no Adonenu avadecha lefanecha. Perhaps you should give us instructions. They're giving him a suggestion, to give us an order, right? That yivakshu ish yodea menagen bakinar. We should search out, find someone among the people who knows how to play the harp, the instrument. And when you are seized with this bad mood, and then he can sing to you, he can play music for you, and it'll be good for you. In other words, you need some nice music, some nice entertainment, something to relax your mind. So Shaul says to his servants, go and find for me ish meitiv l'nagen, a person who knows how to play the music well, v'havi otem elai, and you should bring him to me. And one of the boys in attendance, one of the young men in attendance of the king said, Vayomer, and he said as follows, I saw once, I met one of the sons of Jesse, of Ishai, who lives in Bethlehem, in Beit Lechem, Yodea Nagain. He knows how to sing. And then he adds something which we did not know yet about David, is V'gibor Chayil, he's a strong warrior. He's not just a sweet singer, and until now all we knew is that he was a shepherd, the youngest son. But he's also a strong guy. He's also, he's a big, strong guy and worthy of attending to the king. V'ish milchama, he can wage war. Unevon davar, and not only that, but he understands things. He's smart. He's smart, v'ishtoar, and he's good looking, v'Adonai imo, and God is with him. It is clear that God is with him. From looking at him, from seeing him, getting to know him, he plays music. He's strong. He's a warrior. He's a fighter. He's smart. He's good looking. What more could you need? Vayishlach Shaul malachim el Yishai. Shaul sent messengers to Yishai. Vayomer, and he said, Shulcha Elai David bincha, send to me David your son, Asher Batzon, the one who is shepherding the sheep. It didn't say in the last verse that Shaul was told that he was a shepherd, but apparently it was known, and Shaul knew, so he said, go get your son who's among the sheep. Now, this again leaves us with the impression that Yishai did not know, and David himself did not know that he was appointed king, because had he been anointed as king, as opposed to just being anointed as a special chosen of God, he probably would have been a little scared when the king asked for him. Although there's no indication that he was not scared. Maybe he was, but he didn't have a choice. But either way, Vayikach Yishai, and Yishai just, he took chamor lechem v'nod yayin, a donkey laden with bread and a jug of wine, ugedi izim echad, and a goat. So you don't go to the king empty-handed. When you're called to the king, you bring along with you some offerings. Vayishlach biyad David beno el Shaul, and he sent all of these gifts with his son David to Shaul. Vayavo David el Shaul, and David comes to Shaul, vayamod lefanav, and he stands before him, presents himself to the king, vaye'avehu ma'od, and the king loved him very much. He was just a naturally likable person, as we'll see throughout his life. This was a quality that David had. People got to know him. He had charisma. People liked him, and sometimes that word has negative connotations, but here I don't mean it in a negative way at all. Vayishlach Shaul el Yishai Lemar. So Shaul says to send a message to his father, saying, because he knows that David works for his father Yishai. So Shaul sends a message to Yishai, says, asking permission, as if the king needs to ask. He doesn't need to, but this is just a gesture of respect to Yishai. Yamad na David lefanai, allow David to please stand before me, ki matzachein me'inai, because I find I like him. He literally translates to, he finds favor in my eyes. It's a language we find throughout Tanakh. And it was when this translates to the Spirit of God was upon Shaul, but here it's referring to that bad spirit of God, which which we referred to before, meaning the feeling that God is no longer with him, that feeling of depression, that feeling of despair, of the feeling of insecurity. David would take the harp, v'nigain biyado, and he would play it with his hands. V'ravach l'Shaul, and it would allow, literally it would widen his mind, like we say, it opens up someone's mind, it makes you feel relaxed. V'tovlo, it was good for him. V'sara me'alav ruach ra'ah, and the bad feeling, the bad spirit would leave him. So here we have David, the future king, in the place of Shaul. And if we set this up along the path of the explanation I was giving in the first part of this chapter, it shows us that there is a potential setup for Shaul to recognize who David is and what his greatness is, and eventually to hand over the kingdom to him and recognize that it's time for him to step down. Shaul chooses not to do that, which ends up setting a situation of strife in the people that lasts arguably for the rest of the history. But at this point, God is setting up a situation where Shaul could do it, and he recognizes David. He recognizes how good of a person he is, and this is where we are. The next chapter will continue the story of the rise of David and his unique relationship with Shaul, and how David proves himself in one of the most famous stories in the entire Tanakh, the famous story of David and Goliath, which we'll do next together. Thank you so much for studying together with me. Looking forward to studying more of the book of Shmuel, the rest of the book of Shmuel, and the rest of Tanakh together.